Hello, my name is Cal Wojdraowski, and I'm very excited to be with you today. In this video, I'm going to teach how to do the rhythm slow dance, which I believe is one of the best ways to slow dance. Now, I'll admit that I'm not the best dance instructor or the greatest speaker in the world. I also know that this video is not going to be one of the most entertaining videos that you've ever seen. But if you're interested in learning a great way to slow dance, I'm hopeful that you'll enjoy this lesson. This lesson is a remake of one that I did about a year ago. And by the way, to all of you who watched the other video, to those of you who gave it a thumbs up, wrote comments in the comment section, or subscribed to my channel, thank you very much. I really appreciate it a lot. The original lesson that I did about a year ago has actually been quite popular, and I've received some very positive feedback on it. However, I was never really all that happy with it, therefore I'm redoing it. The gist of what I'm going to teach here is the same as the original, but I'm hopeful that this version will be much better and more clear. Like the original version, this lesson is going to be fairly long. For some people, it'll be way too long, and I get that. But it's intended to be a complete lesson where people of all ages, even people that have never danced before, can learn how to slow dance this way if they want to. So if you happen to be someone that's a very good dancer, or maybe someone who knows a lot of different dances, maybe even some different ways to slow dance, this lesson is not going to be for you. Now, I know I'm sort of an old dude here, but trust me, this method of slow dancing is great for people of all ages, from 18 to 88. It's also a great way to slow dance to songs of all genres. It's a great way to slow dance whether you're married or single. It'll work great if you're going to a prom. It'll also work if you're going to a formal dinner where there's going to be some dancing, or if you're going to a wedding, whether it's your wedding or someone else's. Another common way that people slow dance is a simple swaying back and forth method, which Shelly and I will demonstrate in just a couple of minutes. In addition to the swaying back and forth method and the way that we're going to be teaching in this lesson, there are a few other types of slow dances as well. An example is nightclub two-step, just to name one. Most of those other slow dances are more complex and much more likely to impress an audience. The rhythm slow dance is not likely to impress an audience, but it is likely to impress the woman that you're dancing with. Also, depending on what you're looking for, those other dances might be better, especially if you want a way to dance to slow songs at a social dance where you're going to be dancing with several different people. That's because the other dances are less intimate. Slow dancing the way that I'm teaching here is much more intimate, and so it's not typically going to be something you're going to do at a social dance where you dance with a lot of different people. As I said a moment ago, those other dances are more complex and impressive, but they're also harder to learn. And both the man and the woman need to take lessons in order to do them. I mention them because I think it's good for you to know that there are other options depending on what you're looking for. So, a couple great things about slow dancing the way that I'll be teaching here. One, it's much more sophisticated than just swaying back and forth, and yet it's still fairly easy to learn in this one lesson. And two, the woman does not necessarily need to watch this lesson in order to know what she needs to do. She will feel it, which is a great way to slow dance because women don't want to be guessing what they're supposed to be doing. They want to enjoy the dance. When you dance this way, it's almost like you become one with your partner, because she is going to actually feel the movement of your body. Now, although it can be helpful for women to watch this lesson or to maybe practice it with a guy, most of what I'm going to show you here will be directed at the gentleman. That's because if a guy learns this, it'll work beautifully on the dance floor, even if he's doing it with a woman who's not familiar with this dance at all. I'm going to start out by having Shelly help me briefly demonstrate the swaying back and forth method and help me briefly demonstrate how to dance the way that we're teaching in this lesson. After that, I'm going to take a little bit of time and break it all down and show you exactly how to do it. After that, Shelly will come back out and we'll kind of put everything together. At the end of the video, by the way, we will also do a much longer demonstration of the rhythm slow dance. So, Shelly, if you'll go ahead and join me. So, this is Shelly, and she is the one that helped me with the original lesson that I did on this dance, and thank you very much for helping me again with this.
My pleasure.
Now, before we demonstrate how the rhythm slow dance looks, I want to just take a moment and quickly show you the simple swaying method that I mentioned a few moments ago. So what Shelly and I are about to do just for a moment, this is not what we're teaching this lesson, but I think it's good if you're not familiar with the swaying method, it sure doesn't hurt for you to be aware of it because it might come in handy sometime. So this is probably the simplest way that people would slow dance, and it's basically the music's going and they're just going to sway, just like this, back and forth. We'll turn this way so you can see kind of what we're doing. We're just swaying back and forth to the beat of the music. While we're doing this, the gentleman could turn clockwise if he wants, like this, or he could turn counterclockwise, or not turn at all. It really doesn't matter. It's just a swaying. Just sway back and forth to the beat of the music. One other little thing you can do with this, though, and it'd be a little bit more impressive if I turn music on, but we probably won't take the time to do this. If the beat of the music is beat, 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 you can actually do that. You don't even need to tell her you're going to do it. You can actually just do kind of like that little pivot where the music's not changing speed, but you're actually dancing twice as fast for a moment by just taking steps that are twice as fast. So that is just a little demonstration of what I'm referring to as the swaying method. I don't think there's even a name for it. I'm just calling it the swaying method because you're just kind of swaying back and forth. And what's wrong with that type of dancing?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just very simple. It again is a type of dancing that if the gentleman's comfortable doing it, you don't need to do any lessons. The girl you're dancing with surely doesn't need to do any lessons, so I thought it was good to demonstrate that. And now we're going to go ahead and demonstrate what the rhythm slow dance looks like.
Still I wonder why the loose ends that never meet seem to never get tied.
Okay, before we get started, guys, let me say that regardless of which way you slow dance, a big key with any dance is dancing to the beat or the rhythm of the music. Women tend to appreciate it a lot when a guy can dance to the beat of the music, probably more than if he tries to do a whole bunch of fancy moves. And guys, if you're interested in learning this, consider getting up on your feet and following along with me in a few minutes while I do this. It's really pretty easy. If you do it with me right during this lesson and then practice a little bit later after the lesson, you'll get it. This dance, the rhythm slow dance, is based off the rhythm of or the pattern of the rhythm two-step. So I'm going to start out by showing you the basic pattern, the basic footwork, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to go ahead and follow along. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Okay, the basic pattern is a simple 6-count pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The basic footwork looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes we'll count it this way. 1, 2, 3, touch, 5, touch. Sometimes we say touch or tap in place of the 4 and the 6, and that is to remind us not to actually put our weight on that foot. That's because we're going to take the next step with the same foot again, so we just want to be touching or tapping the floor. And when I'm doing this, I've kind of got my heel in the air quite a bit. You're not normally going to dance like that. I'm just kind of showing you so that you can see that I'm not actually putting all of my weight on that foot. I'm just touching it. Most of my weight is still on the opposite foot. So I'm going to do that a couple more times here. 1, 2, 3, touch, 5, touch. 1, 2, 3, touch, 5, touch. Now you'll also notice that I'm taking smaller steps to my left than I do to my right. Otherwise we'll be traveling around the dance floor, which we don't want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you, if I took the same size steps for every beat of music, I'm going to end up moving across the dance floor. And that would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we don't want to do that. So remember to just keep your steps a little smaller to the left than the ones to the right. And don't worry at all about exactly where you're stepping. It doesn't matter. It's dancing. You just want to enjoy it. Just keep them a little smaller when you're going to your left. Now go ahead and follow along with me as I do this I'm going to do this 4 times. So let's go ahead and do this. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, touch, 5, touch, 1, 2, 3, touch, 5, touch, 1, 2, 3, touch, 5, touch, and 1, 2, 3, touch, 5, touch. Now that's the gist of what you need to know. That is the most important thing for you to get. If you get this down and you can do it without thinking, the rest of it will come pretty easy. So let's just go ahead and do that same thing again 4 more times. You'll need to practice it more on your own, but if you just practice a little bit, you'll get it. But let's go ahead and do that 1 more time. If you didn't do it already, I would encourage you to do it, because you can get this if you try and you just practice a little bit. It's pretty easy. So we're going to do the exact same thing 1 more time. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, touch, 5, touch, 1, 2, 3, touch, 5, touch, 1, 2, 3, touch, 5, touch, and 1, 2, 3, touch, 5, touch. Now, I want to show you 2 ways that we can slightly modify our footwork. But before I do, I want to emphasize that when you're just learning this for the first time and practicing on your own, simply focus on practicing what we just did. These other couple variations that I'm about to show you, they'll come quite easily if you're able to do comfortably what we just did a few moments ago, and you're able to do it without thinking about it. So I'm going to show you these variations, but don't get too hung up on this right now. The main thing is to get that first variation down, the basic footwork that I showed you. So with these 2 variations, we're going to move our feet a little bit less. When we're dancing with a partner, we'll tend to move our bodies a little bit more. And this may seem a little weird right now, but it'll make more sense when we put it all together and when you see Shelly and I doing it later in the lesson. Let me go ahead and show you one of the variations first, and then I'll do it again so you can follow along. I'm going to replace the word touch with the word and, A-N-D. And instead of touching, I'm going to just lift my foot a little bit off the floor when I say the word and. It'll look like this. 1, 2, 3, and 5, and 1, 2, 3, and 5, and. Now, go ahead and do this variation with me. We're going to do the same thing we did before, but this time, instead of touching or tapping, we're just lifting our foot slightly. We'll do this 4 times. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, and 5, 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 and. Very good. Okay, the other way that we can modify our footwork is by not hardly picking up our feet at all. Maybe our heels a little bit, but not the front of our feet. This will almost look like we're trying to do the footwork after somebody nailed the front of our shoes to the floor. Again, this may seem a little weird, but it's easy to do, and you'll see how nice this works when you're dancing with a partner. And even though she won't necessarily be able to see your feet and be seeing her feet, she'll almost mimic what you're doing a little bit. And it won't even matter when you're dancing with a woman, whatever you're doing, she'll kind of feel it, and her footwork might be slightly different, but it tends to work. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what this looks like if I dance as if the front of my feet are nailed to the floor. And it's going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, it doesn't matter how much you're moving. You could actually go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just be moving the upper body, which I'll show you in a couple minutes here. But go ahead and do that with me. We're going to do this 4 times. And again, don't really move the front of your feet at all. You can move the back a little bit. Don't worry too much about how you're moving it. Just imagine that somebody's nailed your feet down and you're trying to do that 6-count pattern. Okay? So let's go ahead and do it 4 times. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so again, that is the gist of what you need to know. I just showed you a total of 3 variations of the footwork. Now I want to review those 3 ways, and at the same time I'm going to show you how you might move your upper body a little bit more when you're moving your feet a little bit less. If you're dancing real close to your partner, she's going to simply kind of mimic the same thing that you're doing with her body and with her feet. It's almost like you're going to be dancing as one. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn away from you again. I know it's maybe a little bit weird, but I want to do it from the gentleman's perspective. And I'm also going to give you an opportunity if you want to try to kind of follow along a little bit when I'm doing this. So I'm going to review the 3 variations again, and I'm also going to show you a little bit about how I move my upper body. You can move yours any way that you want to, but when Shelly and I when we dance, when I do the slow dance this way, Shelly and I are going to be dancing very close. So whatever I do with my body, she's basically going to do that with me. So I'm just going to show you the way that I do it in case you want to do it that way. So the first variation was simply where, and if you want to follow along, I'm going to do this 4 times. It's simply moving your feet, and you don't have to really do anything with your body. You could be real stiff if you wanted to, not that I'm recommending it. It could simply be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, you'll be holding the woman the way that we're going to demonstrate in a few minutes. What I'm trying to show you here is just how the upper body, your upper body, is going to look with your feet. If you're doing that first variation, you could move your body a little bit more. You could kind of do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if you want to. So you can move it a little bit or a lot, however you want to do it. But when we do these other 2 variations, that's where I'm going to recommend that you're going to want to kind of get into it a little bit more with your body. And I want to give you an option to actually try to practice and follow along what I'm doing in case you want to do it this way. So the second variation that I showed you is where we're not really tapping or touching. Instead, we're lifting our feet. And this works really well when you're dancing with a woman, even though it might seem a little corny here. So again, imagine I'm dancing real close with a woman. And I'm just going to show you first, and then I'll give you an opportunity to follow along. But watch how I'm moving my upper body. It would be a little bit more like this. 1, 2, 3, and 5, and 1, 2, 3, and 5, and. So if you want to go ahead and follow along, I think we're going to go ahead and do this 4 times. So move your body as much as you want, but I want you to be able to see how I'm moving, because you don't have to do it this way, but this way kind of flows well, and the woman will kind of naturally follow this real nicely. So we're going to do it 4 times, and I might, if anything, I might emphasize my upper body movement a little bit, just so you can really see it. Again, we're not touching or tapping, we're lifting our foot on the and. So ready, and 1, 2, 3, and 5, 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 and. So that's the second way, with a little bit more body movement. And then again, with the third variation, it's going to be the same idea. So it will look like this. I'm going to do it where it looks like my feet are nailed to the floor with the same body movement I just showed you. So it would be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you want to go ahead and follow along with me, we'll do this 4 times. Same thing we just did, except don't move the front of your feet much. And when you're dancing with a woman, you can move your feet more or less, however you want to. These are just some examples of how you can change the footwork up a little bit. This time we're dancing like our toes are nailed to the floor, but we're increasing the body movement. So in the event that you want to follow along, I'm going to do it 4 times. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Okay, so when you're dancing with a woman, you'll be able to switch from one variation to another, and she's going to pretty much just mimic what you're doing. And it doesn't matter which variations you do or what order you do them in. What's most important is keeping consistent with that basic 6-count pattern. And if you didn't notice it, the 6-count pattern is kind of like 4 beats to the left, gentleman's left, and 2 beats the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's another way to think of it. Or you're taking a couple steps in one direction and one back. You could say I'm taking a step, and a step, and then back. And even if you're not moving your feet, you've got them nailed to the floor, imagine, it's still kind of a left, left, and then right. So that's the basic pattern that you want to be consistent with so that the woman that you're dancing with is not trying to figure out what you're doing. Now if you want to dance this way, the best thing that you can do is practice the basic footwork over and over so that you can do it without thinking about it. Otherwise, what will tend to happen is you'll go on the dance floor. If you watch this lesson, you go, okay, I understand that. You go on the dance floor, and what will probably happen is you'll get started, and even in your mind you might be kind of even counting, which is not recommended, because if you have to count and then she starts talking to you, there's a good chance in order for you to answer that your feet are going to stop because you're just not used to it. So it's not like you have to practice this for hours every day for weeks like you would learning to play an instrument. If you just practice this for 15 minutes several times in a day, you might get it. Or if you practice for 5 or 10 minutes a few times a day for several days, you can get it. It doesn't take that much, but I do recommend that you practice. And keep in mind that you can practice this with a partner or without a partner. You can practice it with music and without music. You can practice this while you're shaving or brushing your teeth if you want. The more that you practice and get comfortable without thinking about it, the better it's going to go on the dance floor. A great goal would be to get to the point where you can do the footwork while you're reading or speaking, whether it's speaking to someone else or just talking to yourself. But just like right now, I could be talking to you and doing the basic footwork because I've done it so long. So if you practice this, the idea is to practice it to where you could be reading anything. It could be a poem, literature, the newspaper, or to have a conversation with somebody and still be able to do the footwork. Because if you can do this, you'll be able to go out and enjoy dancing with a woman, you'll be able to have a little bit of a conversation, whatever you want to do, and it's just going to be ingrained, it's kind of going to become second nature, and you'll do it automatically. When you're practicing, you might also consider rotating a little bit, and I'm going to show you that. You don't have to do this, but when you're dancing with a woman, instead of just facing one direction the whole time, doing everything we've shown you in this lesson, you can also turn a little bit. So it'll help if you practice that a little bit while you're practicing. So that would look like this. If you're practicing the basic footwork, you would just be practicing, and there's not really a right and a wrong way to do it. You're just kind of moving your feet in such a way that you're rotating. I'll also tell you that it's going to tend to work a little bit better if you make a clockwise rotation. You're going to tend to be less likely to step on her feet. It's just got to do with the way that you'll be dancing and where her feet are. If you try to go counterclockwise, you can do it, but you're a little bit more likely to step on her feet, and we definitely don't want to do that. So it's not that it's wrong to go counterclockwise, but just be aware that you might find it a little bit more natural to go clockwise. So next, I'm going to go ahead and have Shelly come back out, and we're going to go ahead and try to put all this together for you. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. Okay, gentlemen, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what you're going to want to do with your hands typically. There's kind of, in my mind, 3 different ways that you can have your hands. One would be closed position. This is what Shelly and I did a little bit ago when we demonstrated the swaying method. This would be very common, especially if you're dancing with people that you don't know real well, you're not real close to. So we're just kind of in this position. It's a very common dance position. It's called closed position. Then if you're slow dancing with somebody, you might bring them in a little bit closer, and you might have your hand down like this, or you might still have your hand up like this. So you're just kind of close like this, definitely a lot closer than closed position. And then the way that I typically would dance slow dancing, this is if it's somebody that I'm very close with, I normally would just take their hand, bring it in like this, and hold them close. So this is kind of how we're going to be doing this throughout this lesson, but you can do any one of these variations to some extent. If you're dancing with somebody that you're close to or want to be close to, and you want to dance like this and you're not sure if it's appropriate, okay, you can simply ask her and say, are you okay with this? And they'll let you know if they're not. More often than not, they'll probably say sure, or yeah, this is fine, or I like this. So another thing to keep in mind is you're normally going to want to have your feet offset a little bit. And this is very common with a lot of partner dances. So what I mean by that is you're going to want to kind of just stand a little bit to the left of the lady. So her right foot is in between yours and your right foot is in between hers. So kind of showing it like from this. So you're going to kind of want to be this way. A lot of dances are this way, whether you're waltzing or doing a progressive two-step. If you're toe-to-toe, it's too easy to step on each other's toes, so you're normally off just a little bit. In addition to the things we've shown you so far, which is the basic footwork for this slow dance, and also what you can do with the upper body, there's two other things you can do to add a little bit. One of them would be something like what we showed when we did the little demonstration about the swaying method. And that would be like this. And Shelley and I also did this when we danced, when we showed you how to do this. We danced for a few minutes when I turned a song on. So the pivot is the first thing I'll show you. The pivot is where you'll be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It doesn't matter how many of those you do. You don't even have to turn in a clockwise direction like I did. The idea is just to try to do it, and then when it's kind of a natural point, then just kind of go in and follow through and get back into that 6-count pattern. So that's kind of fun to do. And then the other thing that you can do is what I'm going to call a tilt or a hold. And you want to be a little careful with this, because if you tilt the lady too much and she's not ready for it, you might throw her off balance, or she may think she's tipping over. So that would be like this. So you're dancing and you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, and hold it. 5, 6. 1, 2, or you can hold it longer. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you obviously aren't going to be counting out loud, and you don't even necessarily need to count in your head. It just kind of helps to be at least doing it to the beat of the music. So when you do that hold, you want to try to just kind of get out of it kind of with the beat of the music, so that you're kind of back into the groove of the music, if that makes sense. So that's just a couple little things that you can do to kind of step it up a notch. And you just add those in once or twice or 5 times throughout the song, or not at all, as much as you want. Again, as I may have mentioned once or twice already, when you're dancing this way with a girl, she's going to tend to mimic whatever you're doing. You know, dancing this way kind of reminds me a little bit of the old Happy Days. On Happy Days, for people who are a little bit older, Arthur Fonzarella, they called the Fonz. Sometimes they would go to a dance, and I remember he would dance with a girl this way. It would basically, if I remember right, on 1 or 2 episodes, he would dance with like this, kind of cheek to cheek. Their hands would be down like this, and they would just be kind of swaying like this, just like this. Close, but just very simple like this. So it's actually quite brilliant if you ask me, but anyway. Well, I sure hope that you enjoyed this lesson, and more importantly, I hope that you have the opportunity to practice what we've taught in this lesson, and then maybe go out and do it with a partner sometime. Shelley and I are going to end this lesson by doing a dance demo to a song we just danced to a little bit ago. It's by the Waters. It's called All I Want to Be Someday. It's actually got a faster sound to it, and if you dance to the beat of it, it would be too fast for slow dancing. But when you dance to every other beat, it's actually a very nice tempo, so that's the one that we're going to dance to now. I do want to thank you again, Shelley, for helping me with this lesson.
It's been fun.
And I appreciate it a lot. And thank you all for watching. Remember, if you like this lesson, if you can give it a thumbs up, that's greatly appreciated. Bye for now.
You see, my life was just a series of slowly repeating scenes. Nothing ever changed, day by day remained the same. So I sat and thought about what it was gonna take to change. For everything I wanted, only had myself to blame. Sometimes it's time to turn, walk away, find another source of strength. far